Yeah, Laura is here. Got it. So yeah, we are 19 participants right now. Okay.
All right. I'm looking for where Laura went.
Yeah, I'm going to start. So, hi everybody. I hope you're doing pretty good. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you are watching this video or presentation. And my name is Jose Gutierrez. I'm Vice President of English Club. This is an organization whose target goal is to share to how English language is spread in our university here in Peru, which is called the National University of Engineering. So today I have a great honor and pleasure of being the host of this event, which aims to provide you the great and unique experience of being able to understand and to analyze the differences that exist between the English accents. So you will be able to analyze those differences related to the accents, how certain words are pronounced. At the same time, I think that at the end of this presentation, you are supposed to be able to know how hard or easy it is for you to understand certain accents in a specific. In this occasion, we have brought people from United States and United Kingdom to bring those differences and to make it easier to you to understand. So since here there's a large and wide number of attendees of people, we are aware of the fact that many of you have different levels of English that varies from beginners to people with an advanced level. So in order to get understood by everyone, every single sentence or idea that will be conveyed by our guests will be translated to Spanish in order to let you understand the whole conversation. And after the meeting, you will be able to understand every single detail and you won't get lost. So basically, it's for that. And we have prepared very interesting questions to today's meeting, in which you will be able to know some misunderstandings that even native speakers can have at the moment of speaking with people from other countries, in this case, US and UK. As well, you will be listening to the different accents that exist even inside the United States and inside the Great Britain. So at the same time, at the end of the meeting, you will be seeing, you will have the opportunity to travel using tools like Google Streets and Google Maps to some interesting places from America and Europe. Entonces, para traducir un poco mejor lo que acabo de decir, van a tener la oportunidad de escuchar los acentos en inglés de personas que lo hablan como idioma nativo del Reino Unido y de los Estados Unidos en este caso. Será una gran oportunidad para todos, para que puedan escuchar cómo es que este idioma es hablado realmente por gente nativa, podrán ver las diferencias en acentos y qué palabras son pronunciadas de una manera diferente, y al mismo tiempo podrán saber qué tan difícil o fácil es cierto acento para ustedes. Eh, Serán traducidas todas las expresiones o ideas que nuestros invitados de hoy digan de inglés a español, con el fin de que toda persona, sin importar qué nivel de inglés tenga, sea capaz de entender la conversación entera. Entonces, well, let's get started. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce now our friends from United States and United Kingdom. We can start with our friends from America. Who wants to be first? Introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, I'll get started. My name's Rochelle, and I live in Leominster, Massachusetts, and it's a town actually named after a town in England. So I work as a guidance counselor at a high school, and I work helping students in their last year of high school to help them apply for college. Also, I am a mother of 2 children. I have an 18-year-old that is now studying to be a mechanical engineer at Northeastern University, and I have a 11-year-old daughter who plays the piano and saxophone, and she loves playing video games. Other than that, we have 2 cats and now 3 bunnies. In my free time, I love camping, swimming, and photography. I have traveled to Canada, Costa Rica, Mexico, Finland, and many other places in the US, and I would love to someday go to Peru and see Machu Picchu. I do understand Spanish, and I can, but I can't speak it as well. I've been studying it for many years, since high school. On top of that, I'm a YouTuber. I'm teaching English on YouTube. It's something that I started as an idea with my daughter 2 years ago when she wanted to be a YouTuber. And basically, we have started a channel called Dreaming English. So that's me.
Genial. Bueno, traduciendo al español, Rachel nos dice que ella es de Massachusetts, tiene dos hijos, uno al cual está estudiando ingeniería mecánica en la universidad y la otra, la cual le ayudó con la idea del canal de YouTube de Dreaming English. Tiene mascotas, dos gatos y tres conejos, según lo que escribí, tres conejos, y le gusta tocar el piano, el saxofón, y ha viajado a países como Costa Rica, y en el futuro le gustaría conocer nuestro bello país, Perú. So now it's turn for Sharon to introduce herself, please. Your microphone, Sharon.
I was coughing, so I turned it off. Hi, my name is Sharon McLaughlin. I live in Worcester, Massachusetts, which is 1 hour west of Boston, the capital of our state. I was born in Worcester, but I also lived and worked in central Connecticut for 4 years. I work as a college advisor in the high school that I graduated from. I also own my own college planning business and teach beginning ESOL, English to speakers of other languages, at night at a high school in a town called Hudson, east of Worcester. I own a home in Worcester and love to work in my garden, and I love to cook. I love to travel and have been to Quebec, Newfoundland, and Nova Scotia in Canada, and Berlin and Leipzig in Germany. And as well, I've traveled to Prague, Czechoslovakia. I'd love to travel to Peru someday as well. I have 2 cats, one that's just 4 that I took in this past July, and her name is Cotton. That's the name she came with. I don't know why they gave her that name, because she's actually brown, and she's not very friendly to my older male cat, Coco, who is 10. They keep me very busy with all their fighting.
Great, thank you. Bueno, español, su nombre es Sharon McLaughlin, vive en Worcester, Massachusetts, que se encuentra a 1 hora en automóvil al oeste de Boston, la capital de su estado. Nació en Worcester, pero también vivió y trabajó en el centro de Connecticut durante 4 años. Trabajó como asesora universitaria en la escuela secundaria, de la cual fue graduada. También tiene su propio negocio de planificación universitaria y enseñó ESOL para principiantes. Es dueña de una casa en Worcester y ha viajado en países a ciudades como Berlín, Leipzig en Alemania, Praga, República Checa, ¿no? Y le gustaría conocer nuestro país algún día. Tiene 2 gatos, uno de los cuales es un gato de 4 años que tomó en julio pasado, el cual adquirió en julio pasado. Su nombre es Codon. Y no sé el por qué le pusieron dicho nombre. También es muy amigable con su otro gato llamado Coco, el cual tiene 10 años. Y usualmente se mantienen ocupados con ciertas peleas. Bueno, so thank you for your introduction, friends from America. Now we are going to start with the introduction for our friends from United Kingdom. Anthony, who would like to start first?
Yeah, I'm going first. Hi everyone, I hope you're well. My name is Anthony. I'm 24 years old and I live in Crawley. It's a small town about 2 hours south of London and about an hour north of the southern coast. I work as a geophysicist and I studied physics at the University of Exeter for about 4 years. I did mostly theoretical physics, so a lot of maths, but now I work in more sort of software and image processing. In my spare time, I play a lot of instruments, mostly the drums, bass and guitar. And I've been in a few bands over the years, and it's something I spend a lot of my time doing. And as well as that, I listen to a lot of music. I'm very into music. I also spend a lot of time with friends, usually in pubs or going to the cinema, or at the moment in virtual calls, like a lot of people. As well as this, I do a lot of hiking. Around 2 years ago, I did a solo hike across the length of the Pyrenees, a mountain range between France and Spain. And this is where I actually decided to start learning Spanish. Found that everyone there spoke very good English, and I thought it was time that I also learn a second language. So I've been learning Spanish for about 2 years, using mostly books, watching TV, using apps, flashcards, things like that. And I enjoy it a lot, and I spend a lot of time doing it. And I'm hoping that in the next 2 or 3 years, I'll spend some time living in Spain, and then following that, I hope to travel around South America and Peru. So yeah, thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentations. And then I'll translate this in Spanish.
Yeah, you can translate to Spanish.
Yeah, so hola a todos, espero que se encuentren bien. Soy Anthony, tengo 24 años y vivo en Crawley, un lugar al sur de Londres y al norte de Brighton, el lugar que les mostraré más tarde. Soy geofísico y estudié física en la Universidad de Exeter. En mi tiempo libre toco instrumentos, principalmente batería, bajo y guitarra, y escucho mucha música. Paso mucho tiempo con amigos, generalmente en tabernas, en el cine o virtualmente en este momento. También hago mucho senderismo, y hace 2 años yo solo caminé a lo largo de los Pirineos entre Francia y España. Y ahí es donde decidí que quiero empezar a aprender español. He estado aprendiendo durante unos 2 años con libros, televisión y aplicaciones, y paso mucho de mi tiempo aprendiendo y lo disfruto mucho. Con suerte, en los próximos 2 años pasaré algún tiempo viviendo en el norte de España. Sí, gracias, y espero que disfruten del resto de las presentaciones. Sí, gracias.
That was great, thank you. And now it's Ken's turn. Could you talk about a brief presentation about yourself, Ken? Your microphone, Ken.
My apologies for that. My name's Ken, I'm 60. I'm a TV cameraman, or a cameraman generally, so I work in television and corporate production. I'm originally from Newcastle, which is in the northeast of England, but currently and have lived in London for 30 odd years now. My job gives me the opportunity, or has given me the opportunity, to travel the world quite a lot. And various holidays have taken me into Latin America. So I have had the opportunity to visit Peru, Uruguay, Argentina, Bolivia, Cuba, and Brazil. But my work generally has allowed me to travel the world. In my spare time, I restore old cars and obviously take photographs, because my love of taking images means that I'm also a great photographer, or I'm a photographer, but I love to take photographs. So yeah. Soy Ken, tengo 60 años. Nací en Newcastle, que es en el noreste de Inglaterra, pero vivo en Londres y he vivido aquí por más de hace como 30 años. Mi trabajo como cámara de televisión significa que he tenido la oportunidad de viajar por todo el mundo, y también durante las vacaciones he estado en Perú, Argentina, Uruguay, Bolivia, Cuba, Brasil, pero mi trabajo más o menos me ha permitido viajar por muchos países. En mi tiempo libre arreglo, restaurar coches viejos, antiguos, y por supuesto también saco fotos o grabo fotos de muchas cosas, de paisaje, de gente, de cosas que me interesan.
Okay,
Parece que
awesome.
eso es todo.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. So now that you understand the main idea of this event, which is to gather people from United States and United Kingdom to see the differences in real time, we're going to explain the dynamics we have prepared for today, like the programming. Vamos a explicar la programación, los eventos que hemos preparado, las actividades. So in the first place, we're going to share two questions about the different accents that can be found in America and in England. So these two questions will be related to that. The first one will be about which accents do you kind of find inside the United States and which other ones can you find in United Kingdom. So the second one will be about misunderstandings. Each participant, each guest will be able to talk about a misunderstanding, an anecdote which is related to a misunderstanding that they had in the past, perhaps because, as you know, in English, there are differences between the accents and some word changes according to where you are. Y entonces, bueno, serán dos preguntas. La primera pregunta acerca de los acentos que podemos encontrar dentro de Estados Unidos y el Reino Unido. Y la segunda pregunta, van a contar una anécdota relacionada a un malentendido. Un malentendido porque, como sabrán, tanto el inglés británico como el inglés americano tienen ciertas palabras que son diferentes de acuerdo a dónde estés. So, let me share my screen to show you the questions. Okay. Hi, let's begin with the first one. Which are the main differences between the accents which are spoken inside your countries? No, we're going to start with a friend from United States. Rachel, would you like to start?
Okay, thank you. So I actually, there's so many different ones because we have like people that came here from all over. We had people that came to the New England area from England, and people that came from France, and people that came from China and all over the world. So I actually have a video. Sharon and I talked about just so many of the different accents and how it'd be really hard to kind of like talk about them without kind of like showing a video. So I have a video. If I could share that, and I'll just have you stop sharing this screen so I can share the video. That will be, I think will really
Sure.
Be a good way to kind of, and it's a short video, it's about 3 minutes. So let me just share screen. I'll make it big. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm going to press play, and I pressed share computer sound. So here we go.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Gabby from GoNaturalEnglish.com. But what is the American accent? In the United States, we have regional dialects, we have different accents. Today, I'm going to share 10 of those accents with you. There are more than 10, however, I cannot do them all, and I'm probably not going to even do these 10 justice at all. You can let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope that we just have some fun. I know that this could be offensive to some people.
Could you stop the video, please? Could you show the subtitles in Spanish to let our friends who have a basic level to understand?
Okay, what?
The subtitles in Spanish, could you turn
Oh, put the subtitles on? Okay, let me do that.
to let everyone to understand.
All right, let me,
Really correct.
hold on. I gotta go into the subtitles, and, oh, hold on one moment. I need to pick, options. Translate. Give me a moment here. Spanish, and I'll just start it back from the top, and I'm going to, it should have the subtitles in Spanish now. Back, share screen, and press play.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Gabby from GoNaturalEnglish.com. But what is the American accent? In the United States, we have regional dialects, we have different accents. Today, I'm going to share 10 of those accents with you. There are more than 10. However, I cannot do them all, and I'm probably not going to even do these 10 justice at all. You can let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope that we just have some fun. I know that this could be offensive to some people, especially if I don't get your regional accent really correct, but I'm not trying to offend anyone, and things that I say are just kind of what come to mind as words or phrases that could characterize that regional accent. So let's have some fun exploring all the different accents, not all of them, some of them in the United States. You betcha I'm gonna start with a Minnesota accent. Don't you know there's at least a dozen different regional dialects in the United States? So sit down, we don't you? Let's eat a bagel and let's talk about accents. Don't even get me started about how they talk funny in Wisconsin. Doesn't sound like you're from around here. Where are you from? You ain't from Missouri. What are you talking about? I'm from New York. Let's sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk accents. Get out of here, New York. I'm from Boston. We've got Harvard. Boston is wicked cool. If you live here, you take the T. You don't need a car. Oye, pero like not everybody talks like that in Boston. It's a wicked diverse city, ¿sabes? Ain't nobody got time to listen to a white girl imitate accents like this. Bless your heart. I ain't got time for this. I've gotta iron my clothes, change the oil in my car, and a million other things. I've got to write an essay. Y'all got a pen I can borrow? Like essay or like essay? Ándale, wey. I've got an essay to write. Like what? You've got an essay to write? That's like hella annoying. Why don't we like just write our essay together? We can help each other out, and then we can have like more time to like go to the beach. Well, yes, because the cost of the course was too high, I thought. How's it, brother? Let's sit down, have some shave ice, talk story. You and Howley trying to talk like that? And then there's an accent from the Midwest that sounds a little bit like this. Exactly. Finally, I'd like to conclude this repertoire of accents with a standardized version of American English, which you may find on news reporting programs or the radio. I hope that you have enjoyed this representation of different accents, none of which were meant to be offensive.
Okay, so basically just gives you a little bit idea of all the different various accents. Like where we live near Boston, they'll drop the R's, like park, the car, and have yard, and you know, just all the different ones, and that's just 10 of them, and there's way more. So let me make sure I have stopped sharing the screen, right? But that was just a brief little video for that, and thank you.
Ok, una traducción de lo que dijo al final sería que en Boston, de donde es ella, pronuncian las palabras con una pronunciación como, en vez de decir car, dicen car, que no, car, en ese sentido. Y también usan la palabra wildly para decir crazy y wicked también, como algo normal, cuando en otros estados eso es visto como algo más, en un contexto diferente se utiliza. Entonces, bueno, now it's the turn from our friend Sharon. The same question. Let me share my screen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as far as accents, yeah, the video Rochelle showed does a good representation. Both Rochelle and I live in central Massachusetts, so our accents are very close to the Boston accent. But even when we go into Boston or listen to a Boston native, it's a lot stronger than our accents. When I lived in Connecticut, I worked in Western Connecticut, and their accent was closer to a New York accent, a lot heavier and more pronounced than it would be from a Massachusetts perspective.
Yeah, okay, so you said that your accent is a little more similar to New York, yeah? Yes?
Now, our accent, Rachel's and mine, is closer to Boston,
Mhm.
the Boston accent. Connecticut is closer to a New York accent.
Ah,
Very similar.
ok. Bueno, básicamente, como dijo, su acento junto al de Rachel está más ligado al de Massachusetts. Y en cambio, el de Connecticut está más cercano, es más similar al acento de Nueva York. Okay, so thank you, Rachel and Sharon, for the brief answer to this question. We are going to start with our friends from United Kingdom. Can Anthony, who would like to start answering this question?
Yeah, I can start again. In the UK, there are a lot of different accents. It's very interesting how fast the accents can change from place to place. So you can be in one city and you can drive for half an hour, 1 hour, and the accent will have completely changed. It will be totally different. In my opinion, the most difficult accent to learn is like a strong rural Scottish accent. There's a film called The Lighthouse about two Scottish people that get stuck on an island, and the accents, they're so strong and fast that even as a native English speaker, I need the subtitles on because I cannot understand what they're saying. They're still speaking English, they're still using the same words, but the pronunciation is so completely different that I just can't understand it. And I think in general, the further north that you go in the UK, the more difficult the accents become. If you're looking for an easier accent, it tends to be the further south you go. It tends to be clearer, maybe more sort of better pronounced, and a little bit slower. So it's the easiest way of doing it. But it's interesting just how fast that the accents can change from place to place. Y en español, hay muchos acentos diferentes en el Reino Unido. Creo que para mí lo interesante es lo rápido que cambian de un lugar a otro. Por ejemplo, Liverpool y Manchester están a menos de 50 kilómetros el uno del otro. Y sin embargo, los acentos son completamente diferentes. Y en mi opinión, el acento más difícil de entender es un fuerte acento escocés rural. Hay una película llamada El Faro sobre dos trabajadores escoceses que se quedan parados en una isla. Y el acento es tan fuerte que incluso siendo inglés nativo, todavía no puedo entender lo que están diciendo la mayor parte del tiempo. Y creo que en general, cuanto más al norte vayas, más difíciles serán los acentos de entender. Y más cambiará el dialecto y la jerga. Así que definitivamente es más fácil de aprender primero un acento sueño o sureño más lento y claro. Sí, eso es todo.
Okay, thank you for answering the question. So now it's Ken's turn. Could you answer the question according to your perspective? Okay.
Got it. Switch the mic off. I think Anthony is correct in that for a very small country, our accent changes quite dramatically. He's talking of relatively short distances in terms of kilometers or miles. I can talk from experience about being on one side of a river and on the other side of the river. The accent is quite different. He also talked about Scotland. Less of a problem for me because I'm from the northeast of England, so we border Scotland. So in that respect, the Scottish accent tends to be less problematic for me. There is a video which I have passed over, which gives a very brief understanding of the variations in English around the United Kingdom. Ya en español. Yo entiendo perfectamente que ha dicho Anthony en relación de cómo cambia el idioma, el acento aquí en el Reino Unido. Somos un país bastante pequeñito, no somos un país grande. Y por experiencia personal, yo vivo a un lado del río y al otro lado el acento es bastante diferente. Este es de los dos lados de un río. El acento escocés no me cuesta tanto porque, por supuesto, Newcastle es muy cerca de la frontera de Escocia y he viajado allí muchísimas veces y he encontrado con muchos escoceses, entonces esta para mí no es tan difícil. Hay lugares en el Reino Unido como Irlanda del Norte donde el acento para mí cuesta más, pero sí, para un país muy pequeñito, me parece que nuestro acento cambia bastante. Es interesante como que han dicho los estadounidenses sobre su país que es enorme y sus acentos. Y hay un vídeo que expresa o que enseña cómo cambia los acentos aquí en el Reino Unido. Laura, ¿tienes el vídeo? ¿Puedes enseñarlo?
Yeah, I'm sharing it. Yeah.
Okay, buenísima, gracias. Thank you.
Pronunciation is the great communicator. Received pronunciation is the great communicator. As soon as you deviate from that and you go into London speech, for example, then you lose a little bit of the communication. Cockney is based on East Anglian, Suffolk, Norfolk, Cambridgeshire. This is often by actors confused with the West Country, where the R's come in and then you get Dorset and Somerset, get into Cornwall. Devon's slightly different. It goes into the nose a bit more like that. Then you go up north to York. Yorkshire. It's nice if you get a word that's got one of the predominant sounds in it, like Yorkshire. Then you cross the Pennines into Lancashire, where it gets much more flexible and fluid in the mouth. Liverpool is there too, you know, it's Scouse. It's a mixture of all kinds of sounds. One of those is Northern Irish with the raising inflections, but you don't get the raising inflections down in Dublin, where it has that poetic quality, which is sometimes thought of as being not different from Highland speech, which is also quite poetic and almost Scandinavian. And then you come down to Glasgow and into the lowlands of Scotland, where you get glottal stops and things like that. And then you come down the west coast and you're in Wales, North Wales, where it's breathy like that, and down into South Wales, where you get much heavier, and Welsh people who sometimes even sound a bit drunk.
Okay, thank you for sharing that interesting video with us, Ken, and Anthony as well for the brief answer about the accents we can find in United Kingdom. So let's carry on with the second question. Okay, 1 minute. Yeah, so the second question is about if you have an anecdote related to a misunderstanding that you probably had in the past because of that difference of words that you can find between the different accents as how it is pronounced in America and in Europe. So we could start with Rachel.
Okay, thank you. So I have a couple, and the first one I have is actually from my best friend that lives in Michigan. So her father was actually in the military, and they were stationed, so they lived here in Massachusetts. And one day they were invited to a friend's house for dinner, and the friend asked them if they wanted any soda. So they said no because to them, like they thought, I don't really like soda water. So they said, no, thank you. And then the friend went to the refrigerator and took out 2 Coca-Colas and got one for her and one for her husband. And my friend's mother thought, well, that was kind of rude. Why didn't she offer me some Coca-Cola? And the reason for that is that in Michigan, this Coca-Cola is not called soda. It's called pop. Here in Massachusetts, we call it soda, but in Michigan, they call it pop. So if you go to a restaurant and they ask you, they'll say, what kind of pop do you want? And so in Michigan, soda actually to them means soda water or salsa water. Another one that it kind of comes from that video that we watched on the accents is the word wicked. So in Boston, it means something different than most of the country. Most people would use the word wicked as to mean something evil, but in Massachusetts, it's something meaning wicked good. So like this cake is wicked good. And there's actually a company called Wicked Good Cupcakes where they sell cupcakes all over the world. So they have lots of different companies that use that word. And the last one I have is dressing. So my father is from Michigan, and dressing here in Massachusetts is what we put on our salad. But in Michigan, it's what you stuff in a turkey. So my father will say, are you going to do we have any dressing for the turkey? And I'm thinking, why would you put dressing on your turkey? So those are the 3 different kind of misunderstandings I have to share.
Ok, traduciendo al español, lo que cuenta es sobre su primera historia, en la cual su amiga de Michigan estaba en una cena familiar con sus familiares, que tenían algo que ver con militares. Entonces, le ofrecieron a la madre de su amiga, le ofrecieron soda water. Ella dijo que no, porque según lo que ella conocía, eso no lo entendía como gaseosa. No, en Michigan no lo conocen como gaseosa, como Coca-Cola, Pepsi, esas bebidas. Y entonces, como dijo que no, cuando trajeron las gaseosas, a ella no le sirvieron ninguna gaseosa, porque dijo que no quería. Pero no sabía que se estaba refiriendo a ese tipo de gaseosa, porque en Michigan le llaman pop, como Rachel dijo. Y entonces ahí está el malentendido entre aquellas palabras que se usan en Michigan, que se usa pop en vez de soda. Luego, la siguiente historia fue sobre la palabra wicked, la cual alrededor de todos los estados de Estados Unidos que no son Boston, es usada para decir algo que está relacionado con la maldad o algo macabro. En cambio, en este estado es usado principalmente para decir que algo es genial, algo es cool, that's crazy, that's mad. Y eso es básicamente la diferencia. Y la última historia fue acerca de un malentendido que tuvo con la palabra dressing, la cual se puede usar tanto para la ensalada como para lo que se le coloca como relleno al pavo en noche vieja. Entonces, so then, now that we have finished with Rachel, we can continue with Sharon. Sharon, could you talk about your misunderstanding story?
Yes, I actually have 2 as well. One example of a misunderstanding of my Massachusetts accent happened when I was living and working in Connecticut. I was explaining to my coworkers that I had seen an automobile accident on the way to work that slowed down traffic because the drivers of the car ahead of me were rubbernecking. Rubbernecking means to slow down while driving in order to stare at something like an accident. My coworkers did not understand me because I pronounced the word as rubbernecking by dropping the ER and replacing it with an ah sound. The Connecticut accent, as I mentioned earlier, is more similar to a New York accent, but less harsh. And they just couldn't understand when I said rubbernecking. The second example is when I was visiting my sister in Texas. I love to drink tea, hot tea. And in the north part of the country, when we are at a restaurant and ask for tea, we mean hot tea. If we want iced tea, we ask for iced tea. In the South, if you ask for tea, they will automatically serve you sweet tea. And sweet tea is iced tea with a lot of sugar. So when my sister heard me ask the waiter for tea, she had me clarify that I actually wanted hot tea to make sure I got the tea that I wanted.
Ok, bueno, traduciendo lo que nos compartió, nos contaba que ella trabajaba en Connecticut, como ya nos había dicho antes, y entonces cuando estaban con sus compañeros de trabajo, con el carro, les había dicho la primera palabra que escribí en el chat, rubbernecking, lo cual significaba reducir el nivel de velocidad del carro, pero lo pronunció en una forma que era un poco diferente para las personas de Connecticut, porque el acento, a pesar de que es un poco similar entre Nueva York y Connecticut, tiene ciertas diferencias. Y por eso es que hubo un pequeño malentendido en este caso, por la pronunciación. Luego, la segunda historia fue acerca de cuando estuvo en el sur y pidieron té. Y según lo que nos cuenta, si pides té en el sur, te van a servir un té dulce, una sweet tea, el cual tiene obviamente mucho azúcar. Y entonces, pues ahí se formó un pequeño malentendido que hizo que le echaran más azúcar. Entonces, so continue now with the same questions, but from a British perspective. We would like to listen to Anthony about his answer.
Sorry, could I jump in first for a second? Just to come back on something which has just been said. Wicked in the UK means great. That's wicked. Youth speech. And for me, rubber. Yeah, rubbernecking. So my pronunciation of rubber is much closer to the American pronunciation of rubber. Para que te sepas, palabra wicked en Inglaterra, más por los jóvenes, significa algo que es buenísima, Y en relación de la palabra goma, me parece que será aquí, o para mí, desde el noreste de Inglaterra, digamos rubber. Entonces cortamos la palabra con la A. Que es una diferencia de otras partes del Reino Unido. In relation to things in the UK, I used to live in a city called Sheffield, where the accent is very difficult. And one of my first problems I had was asking for time. And they said, I asked what the time was, and they said, it's 9 while 5, which is like, what the hell is that? 5 to 9. 9 while 5, 5 to 9. In relation to going to the States and having issues with Americans, or the Americans understanding me, my accent has mellowed over time. It seriously has mellowed over time as a result of living and traveling abroad and working with people. But I was in New York in a sandwich shop, and I asked the woman who she was asking about what I wanted on my sandwich. And I just said in my Geordie accent, why just drag it around the garden like? Take it round the garden, put everything on which is green. And she just loved and had no idea what I was saying. En español, vivía en Sheffield, que es en el norte de Inglaterra. Allí sus acentos son muy diferentes. Y he preguntado cuál era el tiempo. Disculpa, la hora, y allí se digan 9 por 5. Es una manera de expresar el tiempo la hora muy extraña. Significa 5 minutos a 9. Y para mí es una forma de decir el tiempo, la hora extraña, disculpa, con tiempo y hora son dos cosas en español que me cuesta. En relación de estar en los Estados Unidos, yo estuve en una tienda donde vendieron sándwiches, bocadillos y así, y la asistente me ha preguntado qué quería dentro del bocadillo, y en un acento muy fuerte mía de esta época, mi acento ha cambiado bastante porque después de vivir en Londres para tanto tiempo, la gente aquí en principio no me ha entendido. Entonces ha dicho, llévalo por el jardín en relación de poner tomate, lechuga y todo esto, pero he dicho en un acento muy fuerte del noreste de Inglaterra. Y este era para ella como hablar en otro idioma que no era inglés. Me parece que esto es todo.
Okay.
Espero que me has
thank you for sharing.
entendido.
Yeah, sure. So now continue with the Anthony's answer.
Yeah, sure. So where I work with a lot of people who are from outside of the UK. So English is not their first language. And I think one of the most common things that I hear is that they struggle with the pronunciation of words. So for example, you have read, read, lead, and led. The words are spelt in the same way, but they're pronounced in two ways depending on the context and the sentence. And it happens quite a lot, and it's difficult to know which one to use. I think as well as this, when I speak to people in English, I'll often use sort of strange sentences and a lot of slang that to me, the meaning is clear, but it's, if you've not heard it before, it doesn't really make any sense in itself. So as an example, you would normally say, I will run a few times this week to prepare. But I would say, I'm going to get some runs in to prepare. And it's a lot of sentences like that they don't really have any meaning. They're kind of strange slang, but it's how a lot of people really talk when you're more casual. And I think as well as this, there's a lot of subtlety in the way that things are said. And it's things like the difference between I don't mind and I don't care. I think in Spanish, they are translated as the same word, but in English, they mean slightly different things. Or it's the way that you accent certain words in a sentence. So for example, if you said, I didn't say that, if you say, I didn't say that, then you're saying that someone else did. Or if you say, I didn't say that, you're just saying that I didn't say it. Or if you said, I didn't say that, then you're saying that maybe you did something else to mean it. You just didn't say it. Or if you say, I didn't say that, you said something else. So it really depends on the way that you say the sentences. They can convey completely different meanings. I think that's sometimes quite difficult to grasp in conversations. So yeah, in Spanish as well. Lo más común que escucho cuando hablo con la gente son leves errores de pronunciación, porque hay muchas excepciones para cada regla, como read, read o lead and led. Es la misma ortografía, tiene dos pronunciaciones diferentes. Y además, cuando la gente está tratando de entenderme hablando en inglés, a menudo uso construcciones de oraciones que al principio no tienen sentido. Por ejemplo, en lugar de I will run a few times this week to prepare, yo diría I'm going to get some runs in to prepare. So, significa lo mismo, pero es mucho más casual. Y también diferencias sutiles en el significado entre I don't mind and I don't care, o entre I have been or I went, o cuánto puede cambiar el significado de la oración simplemente de la forma en que se dice. Por ejemplo, I didn't say that. All these todos son ligeramente diferentes. Sí. Es todo.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. It was really useful because you said it in English and then in Spanish. So yeah, we have already finished with the first section, which was related to questions about the accents and pronunciations, misunderstandings in general. So we can start the second section of this event, in which we are going to create a breakout room for the British. we're going to create a breakout room in which people will choose if they are going to go to that breakout room or remain in the main breakout room, because the main will be used for the American places that will be shown in Google Street and Google Maps, and the British one will be used for the British places. And after 15 minutes, those who were in the British one will move to the American place, the American main room, and then those who were in the American one will be moved to the British room, the British breakout room. Entonces, va a crearse una mini sala, la cual será para que vean lugares del Reino Unido usando Google Maps y Google Streets, y la sala principal va a ser usada para mostrar los lugares de Estados Unidos. Eso va a durar 15 minutos. Terminado ese tiempo de 15 minutos, los que estaban en la sala pequeña, perdón, los invitados, ¿no? Rachel y Sharon van a moverse a la mini sala, y los amigos del Reino Unido van a moverse a la sala principal para que sea mucho más fácil y así todos puedan tener una perspectiva completa acerca de los lugares de ambos países. So yeah, the breakout room will be created now.
Okay, so Jose, you want me to just make one where people choose? Half the people can just choose to go in it?
People can choose when.
Okay, so I'm just going to make one breakout room, and so people choose to go into that one. Sharon and I can stay in the main room at first. Is that what you want us to do?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to open that one up, and then Ken and Anthony can go to that one.
Exactly. Yeah, now you can choose your room. The breakout room will be for British English, and this main room will be remain for American English. You can choose where to go. Pueden elegir a cuál ir. I will move Anthony and Ken to the breakout. Okay. Ken. Okay. Yeah, Ken is already there. Okay, so if you want to see the presentation in British English, move to that breakout room. And if you want to see it in American English, remain here. But anyway, you will see the whole presentation in both accents. So after American English, you will hear it in British. Por favor, chicos, vayan a la sala Reino Unido para que esté un poco equilibrado.
Okay.
Bien, chicos, vamos a tener, disculpa, Michelle, vamos a tener todos la misma oportunidad, no se preocupen. Vamos a todos tener en la primera parte a Reino Unido y en la segunda parte a Estados Unidos o viceversa. Todos vamos a poder verlo, así que por favor vayan a la sala reducida, ¿sí? De tal forma que puedan, puedan tener todos una buena oportunidad de interacción. Voy a pedir por favor a Karina Torres que vaya también a la sala reducida. Yo también voy a entrar allí. Ella me va a apoyar el día de hoy.
Okay. All right, are we ready to start with the American one? Because I think we have about half that have joined the breakout room.
Yeah, I think already we're half in each room.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I guess I can get started. I'm going to screen share. So I think that you can see, I just did okay, so this is the old State House. And I have a little bit of notes over here that I want to look at. So the old State House that I'm going to show you, I hope you can see this. It's in Boston. And let's see. I'm trying to, I was like practicing with this and actually made some links over to it. Okay, so here's where you can see the map of it, and you can see that it's not like right by the water, but I want to show you the street view of it. So you're seeing the map side of it, and then I'll take the little guy and put it back over here so we can see the street view. This old state house, no, that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I'm going to just look at this. So the old state house here, this state house was built in 1713, and it basically was like the seat of the general court in the in Massachusetts until 1798. It's located at the intersection of Washington and State Street, and it's one of the oldest buildings in the United States. And now there's actually a stop for the subway underneath it. Jose, do you want to translate that?
Sí, está ubicada en la intersección del edificio Washington. Perdón, no estuve muy atento a esa parte, pero fue construido en 1798. You can continue.
And so I want to point out there are two things on here. There is a unicorn that is on on the roof, and the unicorn is a symbol of Scotland, and then the lion is a symbol of England, and these were actually taken down like after the Revolutionary War for a long time, but they were just recently put up. I'm not exactly sure when, but they were taken down for a while because we weren't getting along with England, but now of course we are. So they were put back up. So I just wanted to point those out.
Ok, claro. Ella habló sobre los dos unicornios que están ubicados en la parte del techo de este edificio. El de la derecha representa a Escocia, mientras que el de la izquierda representa a Irlanda. Y entonces hubo un momento en el cual se bajaron, pero después de que se solucionaron las cosas con ciertos problemas, han sido devueltos a la normalidad. You can continue.
Okay, so I want to share another place that I'm going to open up over here. I'm going to stop sharing and then go into this because that's how I can do this. So this particular place that I'm going to share is I'm trying to go back to the street view of it, but basically this place that I'm sharing now is Boston Common. And you can see that it's, again, like we were looking at the State House over here, and this place over here is Boston Common. And I want to just show one of the things here in Boston Common. It's a place that I go a lot with my daughter. It's one of the oldest, Boston Common's one of the oldest parks in the United States. And here is these bronze replicas or statues of a famous book called Make Way for Ducklings, and often I have pictures of my kids sitting on these. They decorate them different times a year, but so basically the park has swan boats and it has all kinds of beautiful botanical gardens and stuff like that. So it's one of the oldest parks in the United States in general. So you can translate.
Ok, sí, está hablando acerca de este Boston Common, el cual es uno de los parques más famosos de los Estados Unidos y se caracteriza por, como pueden ver, construcciones que están relacionadas con los patos. Ella iba con su hija muy a menudo y solía sacarse fotos porque usualmente remodelaban el local bastantes veces, los decoraban y hay atracciones muy interesantes como los jardines botánicos y también destaca por ser uno de los parques más antiguos de Estados Unidos. You can carry on.
Okay, so I'm going to share one more place in Boston. I just got to open it up in one moment because all right, what I want to share is Old Ironsides. And Old Ironsides, as I'm getting it opened up to share it, Old Ironsides is one of our oldest, still afloat Navy or military boats. And so I'm going to show you, here is showing the pier where it is. This is where it's also called the U.S. Constitution, and there's a museum here. And I think if I click over here, we'll be able to see it. So this is Old Ironsides, and a little bit about it. It's also called the U.S. Constitution. It has a wooden hull and three masts, basically three masts for it. and it's the world's oldest ship, apparently. The oldest ship. I thought it was the United States' oldest ship, but it says the world's oldest ship of any type that's still afloat. So she was launched in 1797, and basically authorized for the Navy in 1794. So she was launched in 1797, but she was like, basically they built her, they decided to build her in 1794. So that is my last thing to show in Boston, if you want to translate that.
Ya, está hablando acerca de este barco que fue lanzado por primera vez en 1797. Podemos ver los tres mástiles. Could you point out what you said about the flags?
Oh yeah, so these, if you can see my mouse, I'm not sure, but the masts are the parts that you put the sails on, the masts, okay? And it's a wooden ship, so the hull, this is the hull. If you can see where there's the red and the black and the white, that's considered the hull, and it's made of wood.
Okay, está hablando que este es un barco de madera que tiene las astas con las, perdón, un barco de madera que tiene con las astas todavía las banderas puestas y esa parte de abajo se llama hull en inglés.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and let Sharon share the next city. And you just got to unmute yourself, Sharon.
Yeah.
You should be able to share. I think maybe I need to make you co-host because I don't know if
I
I
was
did.
just going to ask you that.
Yeah, let me do that because I forgot that. You should be able to share now.
Okay, let me just do that. Hold on.
Oh, by the way,
I'm going to talk about Dallas, Texas. Let me open this up a little bit for you.
Okay, great.
And I'm just going to.
I can't see it yet, so I'm not sure if you're you're working on it.
I'm working on it. Share screen. Is that?
Por cierto, si tienen alguna pregunta acerca de los lugares, pueden alzar la mano o prender su micrófono. ¿Está bien, compañeros?
Okay. Are you able to see this?
I see you are sharing screen.
Oops. Oh, where did it go? Where did it go? It's not sharing?
If you want, I can go on to Washington, D.C. for now. Okay. I'm going to move on to Washington, D.C., and maybe Sharon can figure that part out. So I'm going to talk about a couple places in Washington, D.C. I'll just open them first so I can share them. I have the links already in a document, so come on now. Come on, here we go. I'll move this over here, and I'll do this. All right, so I'm going to share. This is the National Mall here, and what I want to show in the National Mall is that basically the National Mall, I have some notes that I have to look at for this. The National Mall is basically this long grassy area, and there's a bunch of different monuments in the United States. So basically we have Lincoln Memorial, and I'm going to show you a couple of them, the Capitol and all that, and on either side is a bunch of different museums for the United States. Let me just pause for a second because my father is making some. Okay, sorry, he's like making a cake while I'm doing this. Sorry about that. So basically on one side is Lincoln Memorial, and there's also like the White House, and on the other side of the National Mall, if we go all the way to the other side, is the Capitol. And then on the sides of it, you'll see different museums, the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, the National Art Gallery, and so on. So I want to show you a little bit of what it looks like. When you go to the National Mall, and I've been to Washington when I was in 8th grade, like when I was 14 years old. I've been there when I was in college and many other times. And you'll see different monuments. Like this one right here we're seeing is called the Washington Monument. I'm sorry if there's noise. My father doesn't hear me, so he's running the blender. And so we'll look at a couple other ones. This one, I believe, is the Lincoln Memorial here. And this is what it looks like on the inside. I do want to show you a couple other things on in Washington. So let me just, if I go out, we can look at the U.S. Capitol. So this is the U.S. Capitol, and let me show you what it looks like. So the U.S. Capitol is the meeting place in the United States where we make the laws, where our elected officials make laws. And so it's, again, on one end of that National Mall, and the White House and the other monuments on the other end of it. So, do you want to translate?
Sí, está hablando sobre el National Mall, el cual es básicamente un conjunto de estructuras que son representativas de los Estados Unidos, y entre las cuales vimos estaba el Lincoln Memorial, un monumento en honor a dicho presidente. Okay, now continue.
Okay, so I want to just see if there was any other ones that I was going to share. And I'm not sure if Sharon, if you were able to figure that out in the meantime. So I was going to share the Capitol, and how are we doing on time too, Jose?
We have 4 minutes left.
Okay, so I'm not sure if Sharon, if you've got that together. If you want to send me the links for the next group, I can share them, Sharon. Let's see, the last thing, I guess. Yeah, I think I'll share a couple more things on the National Mall. Let me just go back to that link for the National Mall because
we can take advantage to hear questions from the audience.
Oh yeah, why don't we take advantage to that? So that's a good idea.
So does someone have a question to ask about these places? ¿Alguna pregunta? Compañeros. But you could share your screen in order to show.
Okay, let me do that. Sorry about that. I had all these things all ready and pasted, so I would be able to do that quickly. Let me go back to the National Mall, and then you guys disappear on me. I do this every morning. I actually get paid to be the tech person for church. And so I'm generally pretty good at this. I'm just don't usually, for church, we never share Google Earth or Google Maps. But let me show a few other things that are in the National Mall. So we have the World War II memorial here, here at the National Mall. So there's just all these different monuments and museums, all right there, and you can basically walk. I'm not exactly sure, like maybe it's a half a mile or so, maybe Sharon can answer that, but it's really not that far from the Capitol all the way to the White House. It might be a half mile, I'm not exactly sure, but there's all these different things, and they're all free to the public. All of these museums are free to the public. The monuments are free to the public. Things like the Capitol, you need to have special, you need to write to your congressman to get tickets. You can't just walk in anymore because of security, but you can get free tickets for tours of the Capitol building. But it's all totally free to go into all of these museums.
Okay. So does someone have a question about these museums?
Who would like to visit either Boston or Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, guys, raise your hand up if you want to visit Boston or this Washington, D.C. in the future. Levanten su mano si quisieran visitar Boston o Washington en el futuro.
All right, we have somebody. John wants to visit. and Jose and Jason and English Club. Awesome. So yeah, I thought these were two of there's so many different interesting places to share, but those were two that I thought people would be most interested in. Peru, Abraham. Yes, we'd love to have you. Love to show you around. I think these are there's lots of more places that I thought of when I was thinking of places to share. But for the interest of time, we were told to just share three places.
We don't have more time now. They have passed 15 minutes.
Okay, so why don't we do the switching? So I guess what I can do is do a broadcast telling everybody that they need to come back to the main room and switch.
Yeah, you guys, you remain here because the friends from Great Britain will come here. So quédense aquí.
Okay, we're going to switch. Sharon and I are going to switch. That's right. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, that's what we'll do. Okay, so Sharon, if you can, you should be let's see. Sharon, I can assign you to the room and I'll go.
Okay.
And then I will join this room. Join the breakout room.
Okay, I will move to.
Bueno, chicos, ahora vamos a pasar con respecto a Reino Unido, pero antes de pasar con los siguientes, con los ponentes, con Clay, vamos a darles algunos tips que ellos mismos nos han ofrecido. Que, por favor, José, no sé si me puedes dejar compartir, por favor. Laura, no sé si puedes decirle a José que me deje compartir.
Ok. Te voy a dar el co-host. ¿Dónde estás? Aquí. Where is Kenan? Ok, no puedo, así que yo voy a compartir, no puedo
Ya, dale, no.
Okay, we have some tips to share with you. Before continue with the presentation of our...
Chicos, uno de los pocos tips que se les ofrece, o bueno, que se ha estado recopilando con respecto a las personas que han viajado al extranjero, han tenido la oportunidad de poder viajar, han sido, por favor, no sé si puedes pasar al siguiente PPT. Son 5 primordialmente. Oye, es importante que hayas investigado muy bien a qué país quieras tú postular, como dice, para que puedas cumplir las expectativas y así evitar arrepentimientos posiblemente futuros por ello. Y se conviene tener paciencia y dedicación a revisar los planes de las becas que incluyen detalles y aspectos que deben ser tomados en cuenta. Todas becas que que te ofrecen para viajar tienen bastantes especificaciones, requisitos y es muy recomendable que puedas revisar absolutamente todo, así no tengas ningún inconveniente o algún problema ya después de haber aceptado o ya habiendo procedido con la beca. Vamos a pasar con el siguiente tip.
Ok. Nuestro segundo tip es, bueno, cuando te estés preparando para postular esta beca, empieza identificando cuáles son los requisitos que te faltan cumplir, ¿no? Y enfócate en ellos para que así puedas tú alcanzarlo y desarrollar esas habilidades que te van a permitir sobresalir y tener pues más cerca aquella beca, ¿no? O puesto de trabajo también puede ser al que estés postulando.
Como tercer tip tenemos que cuando estés en una beca, a quien debes aplicar, debes contactar con las personas que ya tuvieron una y que puedan ponerse en contacto con consultorías y organizaciones relacionadas. Así ellos te puedan dar una visión más profunda y ya que ellos ya lo han pasado, de cómo más o menos se trata la beca.
Y por último, pero no menos importante, cuarto tip, se recomienda pues leer el enfoque y la ideología que maneja pues la universidad a la que vas a postular, ya sea maestría, ¿no? O algún tipo de posgrado, para que de esa forma tú puedas plasmar en tu carta de presentación o ensayo, ¿no? Justamente estas ideologías o esta mentalidad que maneja la universidad y puedas tener pues ¿no? esa perspectiva y mayor oportunidad de encajar. Esos serían los 4 tips que hemos venido recopilando de bueno, experiencias pasadas y continuamos con nuestros ponentes, Ken y Anthony. Okay. Okay, Ken, ¿me dice dónde empezamos?
With Anthony.
Anthony, sí.
I'm electing Anthony to start.
Sí. Okay. Yeah, if you use that one that you've got open in Brighton.
Okay, I'm Brighton.
Diferente. Vale. So entonces, so Brighton, it's a coastal town on the southern coast of England. It's very popular with young people. So there are lots of bars, clubs, restaurants. It's a really good nightlife. It's actually about as expensive as living in London. So it's a difficult place to move to. You can just about see in the distance. So there is a pier just in front of you in the middle of the screen. Difficult to see from this far away, but it's about 100 years old. And on the pier you have restaurants and arcades and a whole theme park. So puedes ver el muelle allí en la distancia. Tiene alrededor de 100 años. Tiene restaurantes, arcadas y todo un parque temático. Y a lo largo de aquí hay tiendas vintage, galerías de arte, más restaurantes, tabernas, clubes. Hay cientos de lugares para comer y beber en Brighton. Y Brighton es un balneario en en la costa sur de Inglaterra y es muy popular entre los jóvenes y en realidad es tan caro como vivir en Londres. Y por supuesto que también está la playa. Es una playa de guijarros y es muy popular para caminar, tomar el sol y cosas así. Y quizás se ve a la izquierda los edificios. La mayoría de los edificios que puedes ver son hoteles o viviendas y los edificios datan del siglo XIX. Están muy viejos. Y sí.
Okay, thank you. The next, please.
Do you have the black and white video or not? Have you found that? What's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one?
Yeah. No, the video. Okay, start with this. So just scroll down a little bit, please. Go down a little bit. Stop. Okay, stop. Okay, this is a small village called Levenham, which dates, well, it goes back over 1,000 years, but many of the buildings are from the 14th, definitely the 15th, 16th, and the 17th century. As you can see from their construction, they're made of wood with a clay infill. The village itself is very well preserved, with some 160 to 170 buildings of the era. Estas son algunas imágenes de un pueblo, se llama Levenham, que está ubicado en el norte de Londres, en un lugar se llama Suffolk. Estos edificios son muy bien cuidados y vienen, pues el pueblo tiene más de 1000 años de historia. Pero la mayoría de estos edificios vienen del siglo XIV, más 15 y 16. Están hechos de madera y se pusieron barro y piedras así para rellenar los huecos. Ves también algunos detalles por la izquierda de la pantalla. Ves los detalles que han puesto en la madera. You can see on the left of the screen just the carvings. Disculpa, no sé cómo se llama carving in español. The carvings, the detail within the wood which has been carved several centuries ago. Can we go to the Swan Bar, please? The Swan Pub. Perfect. Okay, so this is a bar, it's a pub, it's a restaurant within the village. And if you look to the right, the picture on the right-hand side, you will see lots of signatures on the wall. Este es un bar que está en el centro del Levenham, se llama The Swan, es un bar taberna. Y por la derecha de la pantalla hay un pared y por esta pared hay muchas firmas. Estas firmas son de los aviadores, los pilotos de los Estados Unidos durante la Guerra Segunda Mundial. The wall, it has the signatures of the airmen from the United States from the Second World War. In homenaje de esta gente han dejado todas estas firmas en la pantalla, en la pared, disculpa, y es un parte ya de la historia de este pueblo porque había al lado el lugar donde habían todos estos estadounidenses. Disculpa, pilot, no. los aviones de los Estados Unidos durante la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Entonces, el bar se llama Airman's Bar. The bar itself is called the Airman's Bar, and it has very much, it is very, very old, but still has, it feels very modern, very crisp. El bar ya han restaurado, entonces es muy moderna, pero a mí me encanta cómo han guardado todas estas formas de esta gente que pasaban por este bar durante la guerra. That's all with this one. Gracias. Espero que me has entendido cuando estuve hablando de este.
Yeah, everything. It's really clear. Para nuestro público, ¿tienen alguna consulta, pregunta acerca de los dos lugares que nos acaban de mostrar tanto Anthony como Ken? Okay, Abel.
Okay. Well, I have a question about the first picture. I could see that the seashore is really close to the shops. Have you ever had any problem with the sea level, like flooding?
Oh, sí. En el pasado, muchos de Brighton destruyen. Cada 100 años, I think muchos de los tiendas y el pueblo de hace 500, no sé en español.
You can tell that
so,
in English, yeah.
Yeah, so I think over the years, hundreds of years, it has been damaged and destroyed by the sea, and then they rebuild. But now they have lots of man-made structures in place to protect the shops, and it's much more stable. But if the weather conditions are really bad, I think things can get damaged. But they have protection in place in case of that, to protect the stores and shops and restaurants.
Yeah.
If I'm right in thinking, Anthony, it's storms which have done the damage rather than straight flooding, isn't it? It's massive storms out in the English Channel.
Yeah.
Si no estoy equivocado, es más por las tormentas que hay en la Mancha que causan los problemas allí.
Okay, that was really clear. I don't know Abel, I think.
Yes.
If you get that. Yeah. Thanks. ¿Algún otro participante tenga alguna otra pregunta? ¿Duda? We have another place. Jose sent me a Peak District. Can you?
Peak District National Park, yes.
Yeah, here. Right. Can you?
Again, I would just flick through the photographs and I will talk, myself and Anthony may talk about the photographs since it's an area we know well. So this is in the middle of England. So just scroll down very gently, a bit further, please. This is in the middle of England. And as you will see, it's quite a barren landscape. And the difference in the housing is that it's made of stones, which are local, which are dug, which are recovered from various fields. Just keep scrolling down, please. Keep moving through the pictures. Entonces, este es ubicado en el centro de Inglaterra, no el Reino Unido, de Inglaterra. Y ves que el campo está muy abierto, hay muy pocos árboles. Y los edificios hicieron de piedras que se sacan de la tierra alrededor Entonces, la construcción es bastante diferente del pueblo que he enseñado antes. So the construction of the buildings is very, very different to the buildings which I've shown in Lebanon. They use material which is easily removed from the ground, and you will see that the countryside is, yes, it's very barren. It's a very difficult area to live in. So they don't grow crops, but there are lots of sheep. And it's a great tourist attraction of which Anthony will explain, because we have both been there in the recent past.
Sí, sí. Entonces, para mí, camino mucho en the Peak District. En realidad, duermo en mi coche y por la noche, y en el día camino tanto como es posible para mí en las montañas y las colinas y los campos. Y también hay muchos tabernas y la gente está muy amable. Les gusta charlar mucho en las tabernas. Y sí, para mí es una vacación. Entonces, me quedo allí por 5 días y 4 noches. Sí, sí, es un lugar muy genial. Sí.
Do you want to just scroll through some more of the photographs, please? It is a very big tourist destination here in the UK, simply because there are so few people. It's a lovely place to walk. Its weather can be very extreme as well. So if you're caught out in a storm, it's a pretty inhospitable place to be. Inhospitable, yeah, I couldn't think of that word either. El tiempo allí, el clima allí puede ser muy difícil a veces. Entonces, como ves desde estas imágenes, y como ha dicho Anthony, la gente aquí está muy amable. A mí me encanta este lugar, me encanta mucho. Es un campo diferente de otras partes del Reino Unido. Es más suave que como Escocia, que es mucho más rugged, mucho más.
No sé.
Yeah, I don't know what rugged is in Spanish. So it's just a very different, it's a soft version of Scotland. Es una versión de Escocia mucho más suave en relación del campo. So it's a different kind of countryside. But it is very close to several major cities. So you have Sheffield, you have Manchester, you have Liverpool, and you have Leeds, which are all within a very short distance of this part of the countryside. So yes, a great tourist attraction. I think hopefully we have said both things in Spanish and English, and you understand what this part of the country is like. You can scan down a few more photographs if you want, which will give a little more information to the people here as to how this part of the United Kingdom looks.
Yeah. Thanks. We're finished.
Hey.
With this, I think. Hi, Jose.
Hi, everyone. So, yes, we already have finished with this little and nice dynamic in which you could see those marvelous places from United States and United Kingdom. So, yeah, it's the end of the event, and we really hope you appreciate all the work which was behind this, and that this could be really helpful for you as a tool to improve your learning, your English learning. And yeah, so we would like to know if you have some impressions, something to say about this event. How did you feel? How useful did you think this is for if you're improving your skills? Does anyone want to talk, to interact.
Si por allí alguno tiene alguna pregunta acerca de pronunciación, alguna palabra, tal vez alguna duda, o simplemente quiere interactuar, podrían conversar en estos momentos con nuestros invitados.
Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Okay, it's not a question at all. It's most like a doubt. You as native speakers, how difficult is it to understand for you what we are saying, or what is the hardest thing or the most difficult thing for you to understand what we said? I mean, our accent, our rhythm, our pronunciation, or how can we improve it?
I think for me, like my advice for improving pronunciation, and then I'll ask the others, especially Sharon, because she teaches English, is like, I think the best thing to learn any language, and I'm learning Spanish, is to really listen to the language, listen to native speakers as much as possible, and really develop an ear for the language, because if you start speaking like too soon, in my opinion, and this is actually not just my opinion, it's like something called comprehensible input method, you might end up having bad habits on pronunciation. So by listening to native speakers, you will get an ear for the proper way to pronounce things and build up your vocabulary. And then the others can speak, and especially I think Sharon, because she teaches English.
Rochelle, I think you're exactly right. Listen to English speakers, watch videos, YouTube channels of American English. Two good ones that I know of that I use in my classes are American English with this guy as a YouTube channel, and English with Bob the Canadian. Also does good English videos on YouTube. The Canadian English is similar to the United States, and he will point out the differences with words that he uses and how they're different from the United States, because he has quite a lot of followers that listen from the United States and across the world.
As a Brit, I've got to jump in and say, listen to English people on YouTube and sort of podcasts. I don't think there's a big difference. I think if I would suggest anything, try and choose one person and try and follow their pronunciation, somebody you like to listen to. As you've heard from 4 native speakers, our accents are all very different. And I think if you're going to try and do something, is try to be consistent with who you're potentially listening to, and the pronunciation that you want to, the way you want to speak, how you want to be perceived. I know people who've got incredibly brilliant English accents or really great American accents, and I think it's because they've always tried to copy that particular accent. So, but I think at the end of the day, I live in a multicultural city, so I'm quite used to listening to people with very different, very strong accents. Would you like that in Spanish? José?
Yeah, you could translate it in order to get understood.
Para mí, por supuesto, escuchar y ver gente de Inglaterra es mejor que los Estados Unidos, pero me da igual. La verdad es que para mí la cosa, para mí un consejo desde mí es que sigues una persona y copias que hagan ellos, porque con esta vas a tener o vas a mantener una forma de hablar que es igual. Si estás siguiendo mucha gente, más si están de otros acentos, pueden ser que vas a tener una mezcla muy, muy extraña, pero la verdad es que a mí para mí no me importa tanto. Yo vivo en una ciudad donde hay mucha gente de muchos países y muchos acentos, mucha gente que no tiene inglés como su idioma maternal, su idioma primera. No sé qué más puedo decir de ese, pero yo sé que el inglés no es un idioma fácil a entender, disculpa, a aprender y también a entender a veces.
Yeah, I mean, not a huge amount to add from me. I think Ken covered that pretty well. But I guess for me, I'm sure my Spanish accent needs a lot of work still, but what really helped was that listening to the radio, watching films and TV shows, and almost trying to imitate the accent while you're just after you watch it to try and match the exact sounds that they're making. I think helps quite a lot, especially the radio, because they just talk for hours, and you can just kind of run it through your head and really start to hear how things are pronounced.
Okay.
I think one last thing, like if you watch the first video that I shared, she talked about that standard American English, and I imagine also like the standard British English that you'd hear on the BBC. By listening to that, you're going to hear probably the most clearest English that you're going to get. So like I would listen to the BBC, or if I was learning English, for me, I'm always learning Spanish, so I'm listening to news in Spanish all the time. So that was just one last bit.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Okay, thank you all of you for those amazing advice. And if we have any other question, any other impression, how do you feel after having interacted with people, with native English speakers? Okay, since there are no new questions, we can now start with the screenshot. So I would like to everyone to turn on their cameras in order to take a good photo.
Un favor, no sé si pudieran apoyarnos llenando la encuesta. Se les está pasando por el chat para que podamos tener más eventos similares en el futuro, de repente más interesantes, u otro tipo de eventos tal vez. Más, en unos momentos también les pasaremos por allí justo las redes sociales de nuestros ponentes, por si desean visitar el trabajo que ellos realizan. También solicitarles a los ponentes si desean más likes de repente en sus páginas o más seguidores, enviarle a José Miguel sus redes y darle las gracias realmente por apoyarnos en este evento. Encendamos nuestras camaritas que vamos a tomarle foto de recuerdo, chicos.
Yeah, sorry. Before the screenshot, we have a question from John, who is asking if how do you think as complicated English, American English and British one, about the subject that in the British English doesn't exist the participle golden. Anthony, how can you reply?
No idea. I just speak the language. I know there are one or two small differences between the past in terms of the way the Americans speak it and the way we speak it. I'm not really aware of any other major grammar changes between the two. I don't know whether Sharon can probably give a better understanding grammar-wise, or Anthony, but I just speak the language.
I don't think there is a big difference about the tenses. I think it's more the words we use and the pronunciation between the American English and the British English.
I would say the only thing I could think of is like, say, we say, I'm going to, like, I'll say, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to the university, and I think in English, in British English, say, I'm going to university, like, they will probably not use it's just a really small thing. I think they will throw in a lot more prepositions, if that makes sense. And I think in England, they don't use it. Like, I'm going to hospital, I'm going to university. I'm not even sure if I'm correct, but I think when I watch a lot of British programs, they'll say it a little differently. And I think we're just adding in extra prepositions. Is that right? Sharon, you're the English teacher.
That's the book.
Yes, I think you're correct. We don't say I'm going to hospital. We say we're going to the hospital, or I am going to college or the university, not I'm going to university.
I think potentially it's a little bit like Spanish from Spain and then Latin America. There are small differences, but nothing which should confuse anybody. Really, I mean, yeah, I can't see any major differences which would confuse anybody. It is probably the pronunciation of words and the slight variation, the slight differences in some of the words we use between the US and the UK. But because here in the UK and probably in the US as well, we're watching so much of each other's TV, we shouldn't really hit any issues between each other.
Okay, thank you for sharing this interesting information about how you speak and the differences between the American and British English. So now we can start with the screenshot if there's nothing left, I think. And yeah, a smile, people. And everyone says English clap, please. English clap.
Chicos, a ver si pueden prender su camarita, porfa, los que faltan, para terminar de tomar la foto. Para que salgan las redes sociales, chicos. A ver, por ahí. Linda, Jessica, Sofía, Pamela, José, por favor, si pueden prender sus camaritas. Vas a dar 1 minuto, 2 minutos más para que prendan sus camaritas y tomemos la foto final, chicos.
Recordarles, porfa, chicos, la encuesta para más eventos como este o de repente con novedades.
Así es. Quisiéramos saber qué tipo de enfoque nuevo les interesaría en futuros eventos. ¿Qué se podría brindar?
Chicos, si se están preguntando por el fondo que tenemos, lo hemos pasado al grupo general donde están todos ustedes. Así que si lo están buscando, ahí se encuentra. Bueno, ahí se lo acabo de reenviar Laura también, para los que no están. A ver. Bien, chicos. Ahora sí, vamos a proceder con la foto. José, tú mueres, toman, o bueno, las que toman, nos lo pasan por internet, chicos. Danos la cuenta, por favor, José.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay.
Okay.
Done.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bueno, chicos, primero de antemano decirles que ha sido un placer. Gracias por su participación. Espero que les haya sido muy enriquecedor para todos ustedes y pues puedan seguir practicando este gran idioma como es el inglés. Palabras, Laura, José, los comentarios.
Sí, de igual forma estoy muy feliz con el resultado del evento porque creo que ha sido muy provechoso para todos en general y han podido escuchar a gente que habla inglés como idioma nativo y pues esperamos contar con su participación en futuros eventos de English Club. Gracias a todos, en serio.
Si quieren por ahí conocer un poquito más del inglés, por ahí nuestra amiga Rachel tiene su canal de YouTube. Síganla.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have that YouTube channel, and I also shared the link to this live stream of this event so you can watch it later or share it with other people. So you can see that in the chat. And if you subscribe to my channel, I teach English kind of like in a more natural way, telling stories. I do a lot of conversations with people from all around the world as well. So I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel as well.
Bueno, entonces con todo esto podemos dar por concluido el evento. Thank you so much for being part of this. And bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, gracias.
Gracias.
Adios a todos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye,
Hasta
guys.
luego.
Thank you.
Sí.
Bye. Thanks. Thanks
Bye.
for our meeting.
Right.